The Great High School Nerf War, Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, I highly recommend you watch it before watching this. Link in the description. So, just as a quick recap, we had made it past the first week of the Nerf War. Now, we were pitted against the flock of pretty ducklings. This was a group of 5 boys who were just as dedicated to the Nerf War as we were. Things were going to be interesting. We weren't sure the best plan of attack on our opponents, until one day at school I received some intel from one of my teammates. Through a series of information networking, they'd found out where one of the guys on the enemy team lived. We'll call this person Target 1. They also knew that they had to park on the street. This meant that Target 1 would be vulnerable to an attack while walking from his car to his house after school, which gave us a chance to take him out. It was up to me to make it to his house before he did because I was the first one out of classes. So, one day after school, I took off to his house. I parked a couple of blocks away in case he knew what my car looked like. Didn't want to arouse any suspicion. I then adopted a tactical position behind one of the other houses to reduce my chance of being spotted, and waited. I had no idea when Target 1 was supposed to get home from school. For all I knew, he was going to his job right after school and I'd be waiting for hours. It was totally worth it. I waited for over 45 minutes. Things were starting to look bleak, until finally, a car drove up. Peering around the corner of the house, I could see his stupid, naive face through the car window. He didn't suspect a thing. The fool! But he wasn't as unprepared as I originally thought when I noticed a Nerf N-Strike Maverick Revolver 6, trademark, in his hand. He started to walk across the lawn to his door. This was my chance. I had one shot, one opportunity, to seize everything I ever wanted, in one moment. Did I capture it, or did I just let it slip? My palms were sweaty, knees weak, my arms were heavy. Mom spaghetti. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. I'll stop. I waited till he was facing away from me to make my move. I was nervous, but on the surface, I looked calm and ready. Okay, I'm seriously stopping now. I sprinted up to him with my trusty single shooter. At about 10 yards away, I aimed and took my shot, nailing him right in the torso. Target 1 had been eliminated. He looked extremely startled and said I scared him to death, but admitted defeat. Things were off to a really good start for us. Now here's the part where I get overly ambitious and screw up. My team could have just laid low and waited them out till the end of the week. It honestly was really easy to not get shot if you didn't do things like walked your dog or mowed the lawn, or just didn't go outside in general. That was easy for me because I hardly went outside in the first place. But I wanted more blood. So apparently the other team had contacted my brother. They asked him if he would grant them access into my house in order to do a surprise attack on me. How stupid, I thought at the time. My brother is obviously on my side. When my brother told me about this, I agreed to have him let them in. But what they didn't know is that I was expecting them, and I would reverse surprise attack their surprise attack. I thought it was pretty foolproof. My team didn't want me to do it though. They thought it was too risky, especially because we were already ahead. But I didn't listen. My insatiable lust for blood could not be quenched with one measly kill. I craved more! So, my brother arranged to let them in the next day. Then, things went downhill. Literally minutes before they were set to arrive, my brother decided he didn't feel like the situation was fair. He had decided to let them know that I was expecting them, and to tell them where I was hiding. This way, we were both expecting each other, and it would be a fair shootout. I couldn't change his mind not to. At the last minute, I had been semi-double-crossed by my own brother. So it was like 2.5 crossed. Not quite triple-crossed, but almost. When I heard the doorbell, I quickly took up a position at the top of the stairs. Having the high ground would certainly give me an advantage. My brother let in Target 1, the guy who I had eliminated previously. So, they were playing this smart by having the person who was already eliminated scope out the premises for them. A good move on their part. Target 1 confirmed my position and told his teammates who quickly came inside, making sure to stay out of my line of sight. Then the shootout began. It was 3 against 1. All I could really do was quickly peek around the corner in an attempt to hit one of the guys at the end of the stairs. Unfortunately, none of my shots were landing, but theirs weren't landing either. This continued for another 5 minutes. Then, as I peeked around the corner to take another shot, I felt a dart glance off the barrel of my gun. If you remember the rules from the last video, if your gun is hit with a dart, then you were out. Dread filled me to the very core of my soul. I had been eliminated. The ceiling started spinning. Was this real life? Is it just fantasy? Caught in a landslide? No escape from reality? God, why does this keep happening? Ahem. The thrill of battle that I had just learned the taste of was being taken away from me so quickly. The other team left in triumph. My teammates received this news with a hellfire of, "I told you so," betrayed by my own brother, shot down in my prime, and ridiculed by my teammates. I was a broken man. My insatiable lust for the blood of my enemies had been my downfall. But I couldn't just give up. We were still in this. I may have wasted the lead that we had, but we were just on equal grounds now. Justine, Jana, Gerald, Jert, and I planned an ambush at one of the other opponent's houses the next morning. He will be known as Target 2. So we got up at about 5 in the morning to try and intercept him on his way to school. We didn't know if he parked his car on the road or if he'd leave his house at all, but this was the best plan that we had. I went with them as an extra set of eyes. Even if I couldn't shoot anyone, I could still help keep watch. I took up a position in the backyard. Actually, it was the backyard of his neighbor's house. There wasn't any sort of cover in his backyard, but his neighbors had one of those mini playground things, so I made myself comfortable in there. Yeah, I know this is technically trespassing, but you know what they say, it's not illegal if you don't get caught. Thanks, Gandhi. As I watched Target 2's house, I saw the neighbor whose backyard I was in open their back door, so I quickly ducked under. I heard the dreaded sound of collar tags clinking as they let their dog out into the yard. This could be a big problem. If the dog discovered me, which it most certainly would, it might start barking and alert the household. It would be even worse if the neighbors suddenly saw a high school boy booking it from the playground in their backyard. That's a good way to get the cops called on you. So I just stayed where I was. Maybe if they found me, I could just say I was an abandoned orphan or something and I needed a place to spend the night. Peeking over the side railing, I saw the dog sniff around the yard, then use the bathroom. Then it started walking towards me. It knew. It walked around the side and looked right at me. It just kinda sniffed around a bit and stared at me. I whispered, "Hey bud, please don't let them know I'm here." Which just made it wag its tail, so at least it didn't see me as a threat. I guess it eventually decided I wasn't anything interesting, and I wasn't a source for pets, because it went back to inspecting the yard. A few more minutes passed, and the neighbors called the dog back into the house. Eventually, there was movement from within Target 2's house. I'm not sure what exactly happened that morning. From my point in the backyard, I couldn't see the events that transpired out front. All I know is that I suddenly heard some shots from one of those electronic rapid-fire Nerf Gatling guns. Then someone shouted, "Back to the car!" which I quickly interpreted as my cue to get back to the car. We all ran to where it was parked on the side of the road and got in. "What happened?" I asked. "Did you get anyone?" It turns out, my teammates weren't able to eliminate anybody on the other team. One of them had been discovered while hiding around Target 2's house, and Target 2 tried to counterattack them from his door. That's when it was decided to retreat back to the car. Jert then told us the devastating news that he had been shot while running back. Things weren't looking good for us. We were now 2 teammates down, and the other team was in the lead. Will our heroes be able to come back after this devastating blow? Will Jert make a full recovery after being severely wounded in battle? Was this part added to the script just to make the video 10 minutes long? You bet it was. I mean, find out next time when we continue with the great High School Nerf War. Okay, just so you guys know, next video will be the last one in this series. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it depends on your perspective. If you're enjoying the story, then I guess it's a bad thing because then it'll be over. But if you just want to know what happens, then it's a good thing. Or if you aren't enjoying the story, then it's also a good thing because then you don't have to hear it anymore. So yeah. Anyways, thank you, and goodbye.